Hey guys, this is Anthony Colson, Editor-in-Chief of Reclaimed Magazine and the host of the Reclaimed Magazine podcast. The Reclaimed Magazine podcast is an audio extension of Reclaimed Magazine, a magazine for a generation in revival. We want to be the digital campfire where world changers and potential world changers alike gather around to discuss what it would look like for the culture we live in, individually and socially, to be influenced by the culture of heaven, meaning life with God, wholeness in God, and restoration to God. So what could it look like for you as a man or woman of God to go into your personal sphere of influence and bring the life of God into areas of business, entrepreneurship, education, music, film, the arts, social justice, the hearts of your cities, and most importantly, into your families with a generational mindset? On this podcast, we look to interview leaders of all calibers that are seeing the life, wholeness, and restoration that comes from revival being stewarded into their culture, their spheres of influence, and their families. We know revival isn't merely measured by the meetings in church, but by the life of God demonstrated in a community. In this episode of the Reclaimed Magazine podcast, we interview Juan Martinez. First and foremost, Juan is an evangelist. He is also the senior pastor of Get Wrapped Church in Houston, Texas. Juan is also a newly minted executive director for the John Maxwell team. Last but certainly not least, Juan Martinez is also a founder of the lifestyle apparel brand, Heavican Apparel, based around Philippians 3:20 that says we are citizens of heaven. When Reclaimed Magazine first started, I knew I had to get Juan and his story to be part of Reclaimed. You can easily say that word that sums up the past almost 8 years of Juan's life now is the word restoration. Everything you will hear about Juan, from getting out of prison to having a radio show in Houston, Texas, to having numerous evangelistic outreaches in the very places, mind you, where he used to be known as a drug dealer, to now leading his own church and being connected with the people that he is now. And all that God has done in his life in only 7.5 years is phenomenal. And it truly epitomizes the saying that you can often overestimate what you can do in a year, but underestimate what can be accomplished in a decade. And Juan still has another 2 years left to discover what's in that decade. You know, as you listen to this interview and as we start going through the things, you're going to see how God has not only restored Juan himself, but has restored him to his children, restored the aspect of family, and realize that everything Juan talks about, again, has only taken place really over the past 7.5 years. So guys, this is a little bit of a longer interview, about 45 minutes, but it's well worth it. So please enjoy this interview with the Puerto Rican and, more importantly, Heavican, Juan Martinez. All right, so Pastor Juan, so you're doing a lot of things right now with your ministries, Get Wrapped, but I know there's a lot of backstory behind it. So, can you talk a little bit about the backstory of Get Wrapped, how it all came about, and why is that theme Get Wrapped important to you?
Well, I didn't have the common life of like, I'm going to be a pastor and my dad's a pastor,
right?
All of that stuff. And so for me, I've made a lot of bad choices for 23 years of my life. I was what we would call in darkness, right? I was a drug dealer, and so I was addicted to everything. Definitely not the godly Christian home. A lot of religion, because I was raised Catholic, and nothing against my Catholic buddies, but
right, yeah.
So what would happen is that I was selling drugs since the age of 13 and consuming drugs since the age of 13. So I've wound up about 9 years of my life in prison. And the amazing thing is that while in prison, the last time, which we'll never go there again, but except to visit.
Right.
And what happened was that while being there, I felt the Lord tell me that in my spirit, while reading and praying, I would hear words like revival, and then one day I felt in my spirit wrapped in the love of Christ. And so I wrote it in my Bible, wrapped in the love of Christ. Years later, I would come out, and as Jonah got spit out of the mouth of the whale, I got spit out of the mouth of the jail, and began to go to the places where I sowed death and destruction. And so by doing that, it was funny because I didn't know nothing about. I remember telling people, "Hey, Kim Walker's gonna come," and because I didn't know nothing about ministry. So I didn't know how that worked. I just thought like Christians were out here stopping darkness, and all gathered together. So I didn't know the little red tape of you got to know this person you're gonna call. I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna call. So the people I knew were singing and stuff. I'm not gonna call them all, and of course pastors were looking at me like I was a little crazy because they're like, dude, this is how you gonna reach those people. And so we would do outreaches and stuff, and we went to one of the first places was Breckenridge, Texas. In our first outreach, for not knowing what we were doing, like 1,000 people came out, and over 200 people got saved, and it was just pretty impressive. We called it Love Breckenridge, and during that, Wrapped in the Love of Christ ministry was born. So we began to do outreaches and go to places that everywhere, and the reason why it means so much to me is exactly the name wrapped in the love of Christ. So, I've never really experienced the Father's love. So, one of our mottos, I Get Wrapped, is we experience the Father's love. We began to live so that we may lead others to Him. Yeah. And that's kind of how Get Wrapped came about years later. After doing ministry and doing outreaches and all of that, we still have a heart for it. But one day I was typing it out. It was kind of like the fluke that meant a lot. Yeah. I was typing it out, and it was like wrapped in the love of Christ. And it was so long. And I felt like the Lord was like, you're going to call it Get Wrapped. And so it was like, Get Wrapped. And it would be the short catchphrase to saying Get Connected. Yeah. So we have a threefold commitment: get wrapped, stay wrapped, go wrap. Get wrapped is to connect people to Christ. Stay wrapped is to grow in Christ. And then go wrap is to change the world. Wow. And so that's kind of how the name came about. And so now we're Get Rap Church with the tribe of rap stars. And so that's kind of who we are. And that's how that came about. Awesome. Now I know a little of your backstory. Once you got out of jail, you started doing street preaching, started street evangelizing. Yeah. And then it went from street evangelizing to evangelistic outreaches. Yeah. And then you got the radio show, and then became a Spanish pastor, and now you're like a fourth level apostle or not. Yeah. So cool. But like an amazing progression. Yeah. And over a time period of about 5 or 6 years. Yeah. So can you talk about how the Lord has taken you through that progression, and some of the steps of faith at each one where you're like, oh my gosh, God, this is a great opportunity, but how is this going to, or is this? I think one of my first steps when I got out was getting connected, and that's when I was at the Houston Worship Center and All Nations School of Ministry. And so that was huge. That was a huge part, because I was coming out of a place that I was in my word, I was on fire for the Lord, I was doing all kinds of stuff in prison. Now I'm out, and now I needed people to connect with, changing my places and my people, right. The things I was doing. And so the progression of it was that, I got out, and I remember I couldn't get a job because I was an ex-felon, what they say, right? I couldn't get a job, although he's taken that X and turned it into a cross. Right. So I was surrounded by really good people at All Nations, and I have a lot of great buddies, including yourself, that we kind of, they did more than they even knew they were doing, because every day, every day they would kind of like, the word was being spoken and everybody was encouraging. And, I've always felt that the kingdom of God was at hand, and that word of my testimony was going to be decided by the places that I put myself in. So I always, I put myself in school and I knew that was needed. And then, I knew that I had to do something, because why be a Christian and sit around? So I knew that the Bible says that God orders our steps. And I knew that every step, like I couldn't be concentrating on the end of the mile. I was thinking of one step, and what do I do next? Okay, I got to do an outreach, and what do I do next? And I kept putting myself in places, never really being picky about where I was going to preach at, or if it was under the bridge, we were under the bridge. We were serving homeless. And I believe that that every step meant something in the walk of faith. I think that every step opened a different door or gave me another direction. I wholeheartedly believe that. I think sometimes we're like, God, and we're kind of waiting for that door. Yeah. But me personally, I've learned this from the GPS. It doesn't really talk until you have to make a turn. Yeah. And I feel that when you're in your car and you're listening to the GPS, you're kind of going, right? And you don't stop until the GPS starts talking. Like, you're moving. Yeah. And when you have to make a turn, it talks. So I think, that it was a constant movement. Like, we never really stopped. Like, it was like one step. Okay, God, I'm going to be the best sandwich maker here. And then they asked me, hey, would you mind sharing a 5-minute word? Yes. And then I'm going to share this word. And then, I kept studying, and I went to one thing, and I'm, part of the John Maxwell, just all this stuff, step by step by step. And, even the radio, as every step opened a different door. So that step, might have taken, we're now, since 2010, I've been out, so it's 2017, 7 years, right? And every step put me in a different place to try, to prove my faith, I guess, preaching or whatever it was, praying, and doing it to the best of my ability. And I believe that every time we did something, the funny part is that, even you mentioned Spanish pastor, I believe that, I went there for one thing. We prayed about it. We really didn't want to do it. It was the thing that felt most uncomfortable, that we did not see in the picture. Like, this cannot be. It's kind of like, God, are you here? You know? And me and my wife, of course, my wife prayed, and she's like, I felt like God. And so, right, now that was my out, right? Because we couldn't do it if we didn't walk together and agree. So I was ready to tell the pastor, well, my wife, and she's like, God said, and I'm like, So we did that, and out of doing the most uncomfortable thing that looked nothing like, so because now I'm just thinking, we never went based upon what felt good. We never went based upon power and position. Oh, wow. Never did. It was always like, I don't really want to do this. Okay, but God, if you want me to do this, if this be your will. Yeah. And we did it. And then in that, I don't know if those things were tests where we're creating humility, and man shall not live by bread alone, but by every, because you got to stay for 9 months. I couldn't get a job. All these thoughts are coming through my mind. I've listened to this voice most of my life. The voice that says, go sell drugs and go do this. And just at All Nations, it was just faith after faith. The money came in, and it was like, whoa, we never stopped moving and doing the things that most people would stop because they wouldn't see success in it. Right. We did see success in it. We did see those little things as being really big things. So we've since the very beginning, so then that opened to the radio show, and then we were doing the radio show, and then went to College of Biblical Studies, then did the John Maxwell thing. So it kept progressing. It kept progressing. And we've never been afraid to jump out of the plane while fixing the parachute, knowing that faith was the substance, and as long as we were in doing what God felt for us to do, and kind of that's how all that evolved. I believe that it evolved step by step, but jumping into up top, everybody's there. There's a lot of people up there. Yeah. But on the bottom, there's a whole lot of room. Yeah. And so we went to the bottom and talked to the drug addicts and talked to the alcoholics, and God promotes us. Yeah. So most of the time, where people won't, God always will. Yeah. right? And so that's kind of how most of our journey evolved. We've done the stuff that we know God has a heart for that probably most people won't because it doesn't look glorious. We did, and we still do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how that all happened. That's how the evolving happened.
So, talking about doing Love Breckenridge.
Yeah.
And I remember going with you at one time several years ago.
Oh yeah.
And you're telling me about how, and one of the last times you went, it was laying in the backseat of the car, saying, "All right, turn left, turn right."
Yeah.
For all
I remember the story.
And so, what was it like when you started going back to the place where, maybe just years or decades before you were sowing death, and now to go back, to not be afraid of the cops, to not to have that fear, and to be bringing the life of God to a place that where you are bringing death at once. Now you're bringing life.
Okay. Well, fear was there. I think we have to understand. I think 'cause sometimes we get like over spiritual and we go, well, like, no, I'm not nervous.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, this is not so scary. Yeah, it was scary, and I was nervous, because you think of movies where the old gangster, he wants to change, and then somebody comes and goes, boom, yeah, I've had all those thoughts, and all those, like, man, I'm going to be walking somewhere one day, and I'm going to be like, in the Spirit of the Lord, no, but the thing was, the Bible says that perfect love casts out fear.
Yeah.
And so that love compelled me, and it pushed through my nerves, through everything, like a father going into a burning building to save his son.
Yeah.
He's not thinking nerves at that time. He's kind of just running in.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's the same concept. Going into that place took me to memories, but light was bestowed upon me. The veil has been,
right, yeah.
And so when I look at it, it's not as much from the eyes that I would look at as the way I was. Now it's completely different, and I'm compassion. I'm thinking compassion. I'm thinking, oh my God, these people are dying.
Yeah.
Oh my God, these people, don't they know they need life? The amazing thing about the whole story is that I remember in those times when we went. Right before that, when we were going, we went to about 14 churches, and God had he said that we were going to unite the body. And we rented out a school, and we had Episcopalian, you name it. Some people were talking in tongues, some were doing the rosary. They were all together, right?
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I mean, the whole city's there. And we did a unity service. But as I was going church to church, the passion I feel that I have today is that for 10 years, these people knew me. Like, okay, when you watch the movie and you know who the bad guy is,
yeah,
or you see the guy and you're like, okay, that's the drug dealer. That one over there. You can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Okay, I looked the part. You with me? I looked.
Yeah.
Number one, I looked like I was dying when I was on drugs, and then the other time is the car, was the doors and all that, right? So in a small town, that's the drug dealer, right? Yet nobody ever presented the gospel.
Wow.
It amazes me how so many churches, I don't know, I'm going to ballpark 30 to 40.
Yeah.
I counted them at one time, but I want to be accurate, about 30 or 40 churches. And everywhere I went, I wonder, why didn't no one look at me and present the gospel in a place where there's supposedly millions or billions of Christians?
Yeah.
I wonder that all the time. And the Bible, is there not one?
Yeah.
Send me, I'll go. We say that, but if that's the case, then why is no one talking to no one?
Yeah.
We could go out and right now, me and you, we could go walking around, and here's a challenge I usually tell people to say, look, go out there and call me when you see somebody praying for somebody, not because there's an outreach and not because there's a church function going on, just because. Now you'll see someone smoking and you'll see somebody coming out of the liquor store.
Yeah.
Okay, is there not that many Christians? And should you not see at minimum one a day of somebody with a hand out praying for someone? Just one.
Yeah.
Just one. I'm not saying we don't have to see 100. Can we see one? I mean, there's millions and millions and millions of Christians. Every day, that should be a normal, where you look to the side and someone is praying for somebody. And then I ask the question, is that you?
Yeah.
Is that you? Or are you part of the millions and billions that are not. And we get really good at doing all these great stuff. And I get it. The presence, I love it. I love that stuff. But people are dying.
Yeah.
So when you ask me, how do I feel? That's how I feel. I feel like people are dying. There's a big fire. And I'm called to pull them out. God's going to save them. The God in me.
Yeah.
But if not I, then who?
Yeah.
And I think everybody's waiting for someone. Yet no one.
Yeah.
Is doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the pastor's done. No, it's not. So that's how I feel when I think about going to these places, which now we're doing it all over the United States. I think every day I'm thinking, so especially when I'm going over there, I have a net in the trunk.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, let's talk to some people. Because at minimum, we deposit a seed and someone else waters.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel when we talk about kind of going into a place and how I'm feeling when we go to Breckenridge. And I think we had that long conversation driving that day.
Yeah.
And these people are dying. Well, we sit in our comfortable Christianity.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm saved. My kids are saved. Dinner's ready.
Yeah, we're all good. Jesus can come. If we're saved, Jesus can come back now.
Yeah, Jesus can come back now. Yet your son, the neighbor that you don't talk to.
Yeah.
Their kid and your son will be in class next year, and he'll infect and influence your son.
Yeah.
Because you didn't, in turn, influence them.
Yeah, influence the parents.
I mean, let's be real. Most people don't even talk to their next door neighbor.
Right.
Just walk into your house, close the door, done. Come out, hey. We don't have time. In a place with time, we don't have time to do what we've been called to do because everybody's chasing the wrong thing. If not, we would think more about spending time with the important things. They all have one thing to know God, right? Paul, Mary, just one thing, David, one thing, the one thing. Well, the one thing after the fact is to go make disciples.
Right. So that other people know God and bring them.
Yeah. We're of a royal priesthood, and the priests used to make, the tabernacles as a meeting place for people to meet God. Now we are.
Yeah.
Yet we, it's even funny when you go and you preach at a church that, and you say, hey, priest, they're thinking the bald guy with the collar.
Yeah.
But it's an identity. Right? So you're wearing the collar underneath. and Superman always knew who he was, even though he was wearing clothing on the outside. Inside, he knew who he was.
Yeah.
And that's why he always opens his shirt a little bit.
And there it is.
And there it is. I believe we need to understand and have the very same concept in mind that when we're walking out there, we're looking for the one who's saying, help. And if for one moment it's just saying, hey man, I love that haircut, bro. It's nice. Have an amazing day, man. God loves you. At minimum, then we're depositing seeds upon the earth.
Yeah.
But we don't have time. And that's where my heart's at.
Awesome, man. Let me ask this. When you look back at the level of restoration that God has done, not just for you and for your life, but when you start looking at how God has restored family, what does that make you think about? What does that bring to your mind? And how does that become the lens that you see other people through? Or you see the potential of how God can restore other families or cities when you look back on some of the ways that God has restored your life?
I love my parents, but, they were divorced at a young age, so I didn't really have a dad. I had more kind of a friend. We would drink, and all of that. And so I never really knew how to be a dad. And so I had 3 children. My wife has 3, and we have 6 now. Like it's like the Hispanic. We're gonna have a maid instead of Alice Maria.
Yeah.
And so the amazing thing is that when I look at what God has done, so for us, God has brought all my children
Yeah.
And I mean, they all call me dad, right? Which is like huge, right? Because most of them I only saw when they were young, till 3 or 4 years old. Now they're in their 20s. They've been here for about 3 years, and we've gotten to know each other, and we've cried a lot, and we reconciled, right? And like my kids call me for advice, and it was amazing because we started this thing called Love Wins conference, and this year was probably the most amazing year ever, because I was standing there. I'll never forget. I had my suit on. I'm excited. I didn't get to go to the prom because I was a mess up. and so now I got to go to 2. Wow. Right? Because I started this.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you think you've lost, God has given you the power to recreate.
Wow.
So we started this prom. So I went to the prom last year with Ruthie, and then I went this year too. But this year was special because when I looked to the side, I'm telling you, it was amazing. We had tons of people there. But the amazing part was that when I looked to the side, there came my daughter with her date. And immediately after, I mean, how weird is this, right? It could have been anybody out of all the people. Immediately after, like nobody else was there for that moment. Just my daughter and her date, and then my son was following. And the Lord said, you think you didn't see them go to the prom. Today you're restored.
Wow.
And so it broke me, because I'm like, man, like God, you, even that. Yeah. So He recreated a memory for me that I thought I've lost.
Wow.
He replaced. Right?
Yeah.
So when I see that, I see restoring to the original plan. I see Him saying that, all this that you thought was lost.
Yeah.
I've sent Jesus. It has filled the void and brought back everything, the reconciliation of the Father, right? The egg and the mayonnaise that brings the things together. That it won't. It did. It brought it back. Everything back. So when I see our physical, I see those scriptures now as a reality.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, whoa, man. He sent Jesus and everything came back. For me, He placed Jesus in my life and everything came back. Everything. When I tell you everything, to the point where I see my kids go to their prom. Everything. Yeah. I married my son in August.
Oh, wow.
What I thought I missed, I really didn't. And even greater things.
Yeah.
He brought it all back. So I see that hope for everybody. I don't see it just as this spiritual myth.
Yeah.
He has shown me that in the physicality of reality. And it's a reality to me. Like I know there's a microphone and you're standing.
Yeah.
When I tell people, look, I'm not saying He'll restore your family because I think or I read about it.
I've seen it.
My passion.
Yeah.
My passion, right, to die daily is out of the full restoration. I mean, He's given me everything. I can go to heaven. Sign me up. I'm out of here. Yeah. I feel like Paul betwixt. Like I want to go today, but I need to get some more people.
Yeah.
And out of that, my mom, for the first time, visited me this past year, ever.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because before, she, I'm like, don't come over.
Yeah.
You might die, Mom. Like, this is truth. This is truth. And so now all of a sudden, she comes over. She gets to go to the church. She's experiencing stuff. Wow. She's 60-something years old. For the first time, she's like, we have gifts and purpose? You with me?
Yeah. Wow.
So, God can. You have to receive the implanted word, and it says receive the implanted word because sometimes the word is implanted, it's just not received.
Yeah.
And so for me, I see that hope for everyone else. It's a reality. How does He take a guy 23 years of drugs, all of the above, a prison? I mean, I look at Christians that have never had that life, and I wonder. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, in 7 years, thousands of salvations. Now, but by far am I boasting? I'm only boasting on
and what Jesus done. Yeah.
That's it. That my whole thing right now is Jesus, 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 Jesus. By far am I saying, look what we have accomplished? No, I'm still in awe, and I don't think I'd ever. Well, I know I would have never ever accomplished anything without Jesus.
Yeah.
Fact. I mean, we've 700 Club, TBN Salsa, TBN just did another story on us. I mean, we'll be in Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. I mean, you get it? Like, I'm walking on water going,
like,
how in the heck
how's this happening? Yeah.
I am literally the Wizard of Oz. You know, I am Dorothy off on a twister, landed in Oz going, wow, this place is amazing. I followed the yellow brick road. You know, in prayer, one time when I was in prayer and the Lord showed me, he said, I order your steps, and when you pray and walk out the word, the implanted word, it's like yellow brick road, and it always takes you to Oz.
Wow.
Where every answered question, everything happens. It's all on the click of your heels on going home, on the steps that you take.
Yeah.
Take you home.
Yeah.
Always. The eternal reality is here for you if you would just follow the yellow brick road, you know, and monkeys do come. Monkeys do come, you know what I mean? The monkeys do come, but the monkeys, as long as you stay on the yellow brick road and surround yourselves with some friends. Isn't it funny that one needed a heart?
Yeah.
Right? Courage.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the other guy, you know, was scared. He had fear. And the other guy, you know, he needed a brain.
Yeah.
Thoughts, heart, courage.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's a Bible story.
Yeah.
I just preached it. You know, and I love it. It came out. You know, I'm like, oh my God, follow the yellow brick road. You know? And the amazing thing is that these guys needed that. And they all came alongside. And the only one who had what they already had. He said, look, I give you a heart. They already had those things within them.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dorothy surrounded herself with some friends. Let's call them church folk.
Yeah.
And they walked the road together. But they made it. Yeah. Same concept. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the reality of everything, what would I say to other families is that follow the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
You know, heart, mind, right? Oh, it's all Bible scriptures. And you'll have the courage to overcome anything. We are. It's not, I think it's as much as when I see, you know, and I go, man, what is going on? I think there's a big issue with comfortable Christianity. I mean, we were going to other countries to serve as missionaries. They're missionarying us. You know, they're sending missionaries over here.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Like, we look at it as, oh, that's a great speaker. No. So, let's look behind the scenes. Yeah. God sent him.
Yeah. It's like, it's like a powerful, there's a powerful evangelist that was here like a couple of years ago. Yeah. And he's like, hey, I feel like God's sending me to America. It's like, woohoo, he's coming to America. It's like, no, there's, if God's sending him to America, which has been the one sitting out evangelist, that's not a woohoo. That's like, hey, this is problematic.
What's going on? Yeah. Let's sit back and think what's going on here then. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, we've and I'm not saying, you know, you go to other countries, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. You gotta understand also my heart is for America. Yeah. That's my heart overall. So of course I'm gonna sound more, you know, to clean up your backyard. That's gonna be me. Yeah. Right? I'm the guy in America that's doing the call for America, right? I'm like Lou Engle. Yeah. I'm the Puerto Rican guy. On the Puerto Rican side of, you know, like, hey, we have apartment complexes down the street that are dying. Yeah. We've gotten really good at come to church. They don't care what you have to say because they don't believe what we have to say anyway. And the only thing that's going to show them that is when we go and dwell among them. Right. It's the river getting outside the temple, you know, like Ezekiel's river in Ezekiel 47. That's good. You know, as amazing as the presence of God is in the church building, once that gets outside the building, that amazing presence was only ankle deep. Yeah. And then it doesn't become it's not, and even ankle deep, it doesn't bring life to culture. Yeah. Knee deep, it didn't bring life. Waist deep, it didn't bring life. It wasn't until it was a river that couldn't be controlled and you couldn't hold yourself up in. Yeah. That it brought life. Yeah. And it was those iterations outside the church building. Yeah. See, our main culture for our church is love. Like, I don't know, first 3 months we rooted and grounded in love, all with the depth, you know. Yeah. I mean, everything was about Paul's prayer for us. You know, I want to know your love. That's it. That's us. You know, everybody has their thing. Like, we believe in faith, healing, all that too. But our main thing is, but another one for us is kingdom centered. Yeah. Now, one thing I've noticed, if I may, I'm a pretty real guy.
Be all the way real.
Okay, good. So kingdom-centered. Kingdom-centered is not centered around your kingdom.
Yeah.
Your own ideology of this is everything's for get wrapped. What can you do? Can you do? And is it benefiting this right here?
Yeah.
Me, my thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's trying to build your own kingdom.
Right.
Kingdom-centered means that as long as you're doing something for the kingdom,
yeah,
I'm willing to invest in it, even if it doesn't have a return coming my way, but the return is going his way.
Right.
That's kingdom.
Yeah.
Big difference. I don't believe most kingdom people are kingdom-centered.
Right.
You with me? Because if that was the case, then when we started, and I get it, but there are people that are starting things. You're starting a magazine. There's people that are starting, right? Mm-hmm. When people are starting things and it's kingdom, and you see their heart, you should invest in that. And why do we have leaders in churches without cars? And why you with me? Like, hey brother, let's pray. When I got out of prison, them prayers were okay, but they didn't do nothing. They didn't, I'm not saying, and hear my heart. They did something, but I believe that we're real quick to grab a hand rather than give the guy $10 to go get a sandwich.
Yeah.
Let's pray. Father, give him food. No. Go get him some food. This dude's been in the church for 5 years, and you see his faithfulness, and he needs a car. Hey, everybody, let's put in $30 each.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to give. This person doesn't know it yet, so I can't really say what it is. But we're about to give our 9th car out.
Oh wow.
Okay. Well, we're a 4-year church, small, 9th car. How? We just involve everybody. And for me, it's more important for them to have that car. So when I preach, my God is good and He's a provider, they go, Amen.
Yeah.
They don't look. Half the church is not looking at me going, well, no, because I've been here for 5 years and I need a car and He hasn't provided for me.
Yeah.
And could we not come together as a body? Kingdom.
Yeah.
When Jesus' last request, right, was like steak, potatoes, let's say, he said, I want a ribeye, 20-ounce ribeye. This is an example, right? 20-ounce ribeye. And he said, you know what? I want the baked potato fully loaded. And, extra bacon. I love me some bacon, extra bacon. And he's like, you know what? Give me a salad with some good vinaigrette, raspberry vinaigrette. No. Make it balsamic. And you know what? Some hot rolls. And big rolls. I don't want little rolls. Just hot, buttery rolls. And we came and we gave them chicken tenders with some ketchup on the side. What does that mean? Jesus' last request was for the body to unite.
Yeah.
The reality of it is most people, if it's not benefiting them, they're not going to go out of their way. But yet we're all supposed to be together, somewhat kingdom. We've went more business-minded than we've went kingdom-minded. Yeah. And that's the fact. And I can say that because at the end of the day, God has sent us everything we need. But you would figure that it would be most of the people, and you don't have to print this, I don't know how this is, but at the end of the day, you would figure that it would be more of the people that knew you. Yeah. Hey, you're starting, man. You have a great heart. I see the way you love the Lord. Well, you know what? We're all going to put in $20, and we have 300 people. So that'll give you a good start for some chairs or something. Yeah. No, it never happened like that. The people that sold into me, I did not know. Yeah. Why? Because they're not kingdom-centered. They're only where they're at, and that's what they do, and that's who they, and that's it. And I get it, but the Bible, we take care of our own, meaning the body. Yeah. Yeah, and the minute you see someone that's faithful and he's doing his thing, you sow into him. Right. So, I think that's a big thing. And I don't know how we wound it up there, but the kingdom being kingdom-centered, I think it's really important.
No, definitely. And, want to wrap things up for you. Yeah. And definitely want to make sure I hit everything I wanted to hit.
Yeah, do your thing.
Vision, if it's even possible, looking back at the past 5 years, what do you, if you had a dream session with God, and he's like, hey, ask for whatever you want, what would you hope to be able to accomplish with God in the next 5 years? If that's even possible, seeing how the whirlwind that God has brought you in the past 5.
I have a passion for evangelism. I have a passion for evangelism. Can't lead a horse to water, but you sure can make them thirsty.
Yeah.
My goal is to be able to build kingdom. There's something in the works right now. I don't really want to go into detail just because it hasn't really fruitioned yet.
Right.
But I want to do this thing called Mission America, and you could put that Mission America, and the goal is to unite the body, because when I said steak and potatoes and we gave him chicken tenders, in other words, his last request was for us to be united, and we're not.
Yeah.
And I get it. There's the grimy people, the people that, they go to your church and they're like, hey, I need 5 of y'all, come over here, like, it'd be easier if the guy said, hey, why don't you 5 of y'all go over there and get them started and then come back.
Yeah.
But people are like always talking to each other because this guy needs help, and he's really just like, hey, I need help,
Mm-hmm.
And so I wholeheartedly believe we have a statement that also says our mission is clear.
Yeah.
I want the world to see a united front. See, in the world, what is happening is that the truth seems like a lie, and the lie seems like the truth, because the guy people rap about on the radio, the rapper that is what he's rapping about, and the movie he's seeing, they see that guy on the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they go to church with mom, they don't see the dad that they're talking about, or the mom that they're talking about. They're angry, they're this, they're that, they're liars, all of that. And so they don't really see that guy. So in the next 5 years, what I would like, we do these things, night out with Jesus, no stage, no mic.
Yeah.
Outreaches. Like, we're about to hit that really hard. We've been kind of preparing teams for a while, so we're about to do that really hard. My goal is to create such a radical movement.
Yeah.
Outside of the walls, that it creates a mission amongst the earth. Now, the funny part is I really believe that we have a big part in it. And the reason I believe that is not because I feel that that I'm like the most amazing guy on the planet, but I think because of my life, God gets a lot of glory for it. So I stay humble, and He keeps exalting. My goal is I want the prisons to be kind of empty.
Yeah.
And the only way that's going to happen is we're doing these adopt an apartment complex thing, this new thing that we're starting as well. And the goal is I want for spring, the area that I'm in, as well as any area we set foot and partner with the church to do their area, for crime rate to drop, for people to really see the gospel lived out as they saw it in Jesus. And so I want to start a blazing fire, and for me, my heart is America.
Yeah.
And so that's what I see. I see crime rate dropping. Everybody goes to the gangs because they're united.
Yeah.
That's it. So I would like to see unity in the body. Like, I want to start partnering up. And to me, I think sometimes we get caught up in partnering with the big names because the big names bring the people.
Right.
Right? But I think it's more than that. I think it's whole bodies. And so I'm probably I want to be that guy to start that. I want to be that guy that is going to take the risk of bringing our whole church to another church, and then not be fearful that 5 are going to stay.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to start that.
Yeah.
Without freaking out.
Right. Yeah.
And if in the turn of those events, if I lose everybody, my goal is to gain.
Right.
At the minimum. I don't think it's going to happen. Like I mean, I don't think it's going to happen where we're going to do that and we're going to news. Like I've already talked to 2 churches where we're gonna bring everybody over there and we're gonna worship.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have them come everybody over here.
Right.
And then here, like, let's just use our buildings to glorify God. And let's see how far we could do that. So I've partnered with somebody already in Spring. I'm partnering with somebody already in downtown. I'll be in Tampa and Connecticut, New York, and basically getting them to do the Night Out with Jesus, No Stage, No Mic, and trying to do it on the same day so that Facebook gets flooded with Night Out with Jesus, No Stage, No Mic. And everybody's
all over the U.S. Wow.
Yeah, all over the U.S. So that Night Out with Jesus, No Stage, No Mic, we go out, everybody meets in the front, and we go into grocery stores. We've built relationships with all the grocery stores so they know us now. It's not like, oh, there's a church. Now it's like, hey, Pastor Juan. When I go in the HEB, hey, Pastor Juan. When I go in the, hey, Pastor Juan.
Wow.
They know me by my fruit. I'm not living off of a title. I'm living off of a function. The Bible says that prophets, teachers, evangelists, right?
Yeah.
The problem is we've become title driven.
Wow.
He gave those titles because of a function.
Yeah.
My question is not your congregation. This is to pastors all over the world.
Yeah.
Not to the people you evangelists, prophets, right? Jesus says something that was amazing. He says, "Who do you say that I am?" The exciting thing is when my kids call me dad is because they're seeing the function of a dad. They're not calling me dad because I'm dad and they have to listen.
Yeah.
The same thing. I want the people down the street, even the ones that aren't saved, to know me and have them call me what they see.
Wow.
Rather than them know me as a pastor of a church just because it's on a window or on a card.
Yeah.
I want this community to know me and call me what they see out of my relationship with the community.
Wow.
And that's what I want out of anything in the world. Like, that's what I want. I want to bring the reality of Christ into every neighborhood. Not in incredible words or look at how great of a conference or look at this big outreach. No.
Yeah.
I want them to say, hey man, Mr. Juan, that dude. Here's the question. You could call it this one. This question is for every pastor in the world.
Yeah.
Okay? And I always ask, every realm that I've sat, I've been able to sit with T.D. Jakes and talk to him. I was able to sit with Stephen Furtick here recently. Just everybody. Yeah. And I've asked this question: if your church disappeared tomorrow, just disappeared off the face of the earth, it's gone. You look at your spot, you know it. God just told you, hey, it's going to disappear tomorrow. And I'm not talking about your congregants.
Yeah.
Okay? Because of course they're going to miss you. That's their church.
Yeah.
The apartment down the street. Are they going to just be like, hey, I think there was a church there. Like, yeah, they were pretty awesome. Or, yeah, there was a church there. Or are they going to be like, man, I wonder where they went.
Yeah.
People were like super cool, man. They always came into this apartment. It's like, I didn't go to church or nothing, but, man, a couple times they came over here, fed us. Like, would they be like that? Or would you just be like, oh, I think there was a church there?
Wow.
And if it's not the second one, the man, where did they go? Then why are you a local church?
Yeah. And
in a nutshell, I've just told you everything that I want to do. I didn't even think about. I didn't say I want to be a pastor. Like,
yeah.
But if I am, I don't want to be a pastor known by my title. I want to be a pastor known by I'm shepherding people.
Yeah.
I'm equipping people. Hey, Evangelist Juan, because they got different names everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't even really want to call it, hey, Warrior, I'm Juan Martinez.
Yeah.
Well, who do you say that I am?
Yeah.
To some people, I'm a mentor. I mentor some business owners out of the John Maxwell thing, and to them, I'm a mentor coach.
Yeah.
To my wife, I'm a husband.
Yeah.
You with me?
Mm-hmm.
And she also says, well, he's also my pastor, because I give her guidance. But she's calling me that, not because I told her to call me that.
Yeah.
So in the next 5 years, I want to get everybody to know that message. That's the message.
Wow.
Yeah. And we cannot be that without love. It's impossible.
Yeah. All right, guys, another wonderful interview, this time with Pastor Juan Martinez. Here's a few key takeaways I got out of there. Number one, it's the next step. Is making those decisions that will take us to new places, that'll always take us out of our comfort zone. It's about saying yes to God, especially when things don't make sense. The second thing, Juan said that it was so crowded at the top, so he went down to the bottom. And he ministered to people that others didn't want to minister to. It reminded me of the people that were attracted to David, those that were distressed, those that were down and out, those that were the outcast. It was the same people that Jesus ministered to on a regular basis. It was the people that no one else wanted to minister to. No one else wanted to be around, but they were the ones who really recognized Jesus. Next is when he said, hey, call me when you see somebody praying for someone else. Just because. Not because there's a competition at church, but because it's supposed to be happening because there's so many Christians. And he says, I think everyone is waiting for someone, but no one is doing anything. And oftentimes that even includes me myself. And last, but certainly not least, in an interview that could have 10 things to walk away with. He said, God gave us titles as a function. So who do people say that you are? Do they call you pastor because they see the function of a pastor? Or because they're just trained to say it because it's in front of your name on the church window? Juan's heart was, I only want people to call me something based on what they see with my relationship with the community. Lastly, if you want to follow Juan, you can find him online at getwrapped.tv. That's the website for his church, Get Wrapped Church. You can find him on Facebook at Juan Martinez TV and on Instagram at Juan Martinez Life. Also check out his lifestyle apparel brand, Heavican Apparel, on Instagram and Facebook under the name Heavican Apparel. That's it for this episode of the Reclaimed Magazine podcast. Everyone, thanks for listening and making us part of your day. You can engage with us on social media. We are on Instagram at Reclaimed Magazine and on Twitter at Reclaimed Mag. And feel free to email us. The email address is thoughts@reclaimedmagazine.com. And if this blessed you, definitely subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and please rate us and leave us a review. Tell a couple of friends or tell everyone in your social network. And remember, in every place you have influence, release the life of God into your culture. Be blessed.